Let's go to page 259, and this is on inequalities. So on 22.1, there are a couple terms to know. So first is strict, and then non-strict. Okay, so strict basically means is less than or is greater than. Okay, whereas non-strict means it's less than or greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than equal to. So that's what it means. The next thing to know is when you have inequality, let's say x is less than y. When you have inequalities, when you multiply by negative numbers, let's say multiply by -1, okay, then you're going to get negative x, and then you have to change the direction, okay, reverse the direction. So whenever you multiply or divide by negative numbers, you need to change the direction on these. Okay, so next thing is on page 260, it mentioned about what the inequality implies. So when you have x is greater than y, okay, what this means is that when you square, so it will be still the same, so it doesn't change the direction, and x cubed is still greater than y cubed, and y to the fourth is greater than y, x to the fourth is greater than y to the fourth, and so forth and so forth. Also, when you take the square root, let's say x is greater than y, so the square root of x is still greater than square root of y. Okay? So that's what this implies. Okay. Now let's go to next part. Okay, you talk about reciprocals. Okay, so again, there are three situations. So when you have x is greater than y, and both are positive, so when you take the reciprocal, you're going to reverse the direction. Okay, an example of that would be if you have like a example would be if you have like a 4 greater than 1. Okay, so when you take the let's use 2. Okay, so when you take the reciprocal, you're going to get 1 over 4. It's going to be less than 1 over 2. Okay, so you can see that from the example. Next one is if both are negative. Okay, so for example would be -2 is greater than negative, let's say 5. Okay, so when you take the reciprocal, you're going to get -1 over 2, and it's going to be less than -1 over 5. Okay, so you can, when both are negative, you're going to you're going to say the same. Okay, so from, again, this is just an example. So from that you can see when x is greater than y, when you take the reciprocal, it's going to change the direction. Okay. Okay. So again, this one we kind of do the example first because it's easier to see from the example. Okay. Okay. Now, if you have 1 is negative, 1 positive, and 1 negative. So when you have x is greater than y, so if you have x greater than y and 1 positive, 1 negative, then you know that this has to be a positive, right? Positive, and this has to be a negative. So when you take the reciprocal, you're going to get 1 over x, and you got 1 over y. Now, if it's positive, when you take the reciprocal, it's still positive. Negative, you take reciprocal, is negative. So positive is still going to be greater than negative. Okay. So again, if 1 is positive, 1 is negative, they stay the same. If both are negative or both are positive, when you take the reciprocal, okay, when you take the reciprocal over here, then they reverse the direction.